Okay. I believe we're now live streaming on YouTube. So, good evening and welcome to Wincanton Town Council's. I apologise, I'm just going to admit another councillor. Thank you. So, good evening and welcome to Wincanton Town Council's annual meeting of the Town Council via Zoom, live streamed on YouTube on the 4th of May 2021 at 7 p.m, 1900 hours. I'm just waiting for a second to see if anyone else joins, as it's 1900 hours.
Are you having a council meeting now?
Yes, no.
Can I ask that you make sure if there's background noise, you're on mute, please? Thank you. So, councillors, before we enter the meeting, can I just confirm that councillors have received all received and read all papers for this meeting tonight? Can you raise your hand? And I will call your name out to our locum clerk. So I have Councillor Smith, Greening, Tudgay, Power, Waters, Ralph, Thomas, Vagg and Shelbourne-Barrow. So thank you for that. And before we start the meeting, I would like to introduce our locum clerk, Jo Swift, and she's joining tonight to clerk our meeting. So thank you, Jo, for joining us. I now wish to move into the first part of our agenda. As you can see, our agenda is slightly differently laid out tonight. So the first part of the agenda is the election of chair and vice chair. And then we move into public participation, which is an agenda item normally outside of our meeting, and it's tonight outside of our meeting. And then we move into the full agenda, of which there are 19 items tonight, so a busy night. So the first part of our agenda is election of a chair or mayor for 2021-22. So the first question is to ask, council will be asked to elect a chair of the town council for the year 2021. The chair will be asked to sign the declaration of acceptance of office following the meeting, and I will at that point instruct a resolution to sign outside council. So the first part of this, point 1, is to ask, are there any nominations for chair or mayor of the town council? Can you raise your hands if you wish to speak, councillors? Councillor Vagg.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Shelbourne-Barrow.
Thank you.
The chair, sorry.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Councillor Power, you're mute. No, you're just putting your hand up, or you
No,
nominate?
I don't want to talk. I was going to nominate Lizzie Ralph.
Thank you. So we have 2 nominations. So now what we do is we vote, and the one with the least votes is then Councillor Tudgay. Is there another nomination you wish to make?
Should each nomination not have a seconder, Chair?
Yes, I just want to check if there are any other nominations before I move to that. So we have 2 nominations. Are there any other nominations for chair? No. So firstly, the first nomination, if I take them in order, if I may, Councillor Ralph. So for Councillor Shelbourne-Barrow, is there a proposer and a seconder for that nomination? Councillor Vagg?
I'm proposing.
And a seconder? Councillor Tudgay, and a vote for Councillor Shelbourne-Barrow to remain as chair. So the vote is Councillor Smith, Councillor Greening, Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Waters, Councillor Ralph, Councillor Thomas, Councillor Shelbourne-Barrow and Councillor Vagg. So that is one individual, I believe, that has not voted. So the second nomination, do we continue with that, locum clerk?
Are there 9 of you?
There are 9 of us, and there's one that has chosen not to vote.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you could now go for Lizzie, because there is a chance that she could get 9 votes.
Thank you.
And it's the person with the highest votes.
Thank you. So the nomination for chair, Councillor Ralph, can I have those 4 Councillor Ralph, please. So I have Councillor Power. Councillor Power. I have one vote currently for Councillor Ralph. Locum Clerk, can I ask you to then record the votes, please?
Got 8 in favour of yourself.
So do I understand from that is I continue as chair?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you for the nomination and the support, Council. I now wish to pass a resolution to sign the declaration outside of Council. So can I have a proposer for that, please, to sign the declaration outside of Council? To do that with the clerk in the Town Hall. Councillor Ralph is proposing. A seconder, please. Councillor Thomas. And a vote in support, if you're for, signing the declaration outside of Council. So I have Councillor Power, Smith, Greening, Tudgay, Waters, Ralph, Shelbourne-Barrow, Thomas and Vag. So I believe that to be unanimous. So what that means, councillors, is I will attend the council office with the locum clerk to sign the declaration, hopefully tomorrow, but as soon as possible following this event. And the reason why that resolution was put forward is because we're currently on Zoom and unable to sign the documents in front of the clerk because of Zoom. Moving on, we have the election of the vice chair or deputy mayor for 21-22. Council will ask to elect a vice chair or deputy mayor for the year 21-22. So firstly, can I ask, are there any nominations, please? Councillor Vag, and then Councillor Thomas to speak. Councillor Vag. I can't hear you, Councillor Vag. Sorry. Oh, I can now.
Yeah, I nominate Councillor Tudgay as vice chair.
Thank you. And Councillor Thomas, you wish to speak? Do you
I
wish
was
to
going to
make
say, no, I was going to say the same thing, so don't worry. No,
Okay. So we have one nomination for the role of Vice Chair Deputy Mayor as Councillor Tudgay, and I'm not seeing any other nominations. So the proposer is Councillor Vag. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Tudgay? Councillor Thomas, and a vote for. Those for Councillor Tudgay becoming Vice Chair Deputy Mayor. So I have Councillor Smith, Greening, Tudgay, Power, Waters, Ralph, Thomas, Vag and Shelbourne-Barrow. So I believe that to be 9. So there's no one against. So thank you again, Councillor Vag, and welcome, Councillor Tudgay, to a continuation. So in the same light, I'd like to make a resolution for Councillor Tudgay to sign his declaration of acceptance of office in front of the town clerk as soon as possible tomorrow. So can I have a proposer for that, please? Councillor Ralph, a seconder, please. Councillor Vag, and those four, Councillor Tudgay signing his declaration of acceptance of office tomorrow, when the 5th of May. So I have Councillor Power, Smith, Greening, Tudgay, Waters, Thomas, Shelbourne-Barrow, Vag, and Councillor Ralph. Did you put your hand down, or are you voting against? 4. You're 4, so that's 9. Thank you, Locum Clerk. Right, the next item on the agenda is public participation. I will be reading a set of words, but before I do so, I'd just like to remind those attending this meeting that PERDA, which is a status where during an election period, no one is to campaign within our town council meeting in this instance, during the time slot that public participation is open. So public participation. Before the meeting, the chair may allow a public session to enable people to ask questions of council and make comments. In accordance with Standing Orders 3E and 3H, questions are directed to council and should be restricted to matters on the agenda. Members of the public are not to verbally abuse or harass a member of council. Questions not answered at this meeting will be answered in writing to the person asking the question or may appear as an agenda item for the next meeting. Members of the public are asked to restrict their comments and or questions to 3 minutes. So can I now ask, are there any residents who now wish to speak? I have 2 residents who've raised their hand. So I invite Councillor, I invite Liz Carter to speak, please, first. Can you take yourself off mute, please?
Yes, I've just unmuted, thank you. Yeah, actually, you've led me nicely into my question, Chairman. You clearly have just said that all questions and comments and statements in public question time need to relate to matters on the agenda. And I have seen you stick to that. I know on the 21st of January, a resident tried to raise a question and was refused permission to do that because it was not on the agenda. So that's fine. But can I please ask, can you make it absolutely clear why a resident, Kathy Taylor, was allowed to make a statement in last week's Monday the 26th meeting that was not related to anything on the agenda? Where is the consistency, the fairness, and the sticking to your standing orders? Her statement was not related to anything on the agenda, and you need to make sure that you don't pick and choose when your standing orders apply. And I would like to have a written answer, please, to my question. Why was that resident allowed to speak in public question time when it was clearly against the standing order that you have just read to me, and yet you apply it to other residents? Where is the fairness? And is there any connection between that and the fact that Miss Taylor is the housemate of one of your councillors? We need consistency and fairness for all residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz Carter. Locum Clerk, can I ask, you've recorded that question so we can respond in writing to the resident? Thank you. Mr. Ellard.
Thank you very much. I would like to talk about something that's on your agenda, the 2 items that you've just addressed. I'm surprised that you have chosen to carry on with election of a chair and a deputy chair, vice chair, particularly given the public feeling that I have observed in the last few days whilst walking around the town delivering leaflets, and also what is clear to all on Facebook. It's clear to me that you've chosen to do this before the election of 6 new councillors, which will happen on Thursday, in order to deny them the right to speak and to be involved in this process. And I say shame on you. I think that's an abrogation of democracy, and it certainly doesn't show that you wish to listen to the people of the town who will speak on Thursday. And then secondly, on the same matter, I know that for you to have an election for chair and vice chair, you need to have a proper officer in attendance, and you don't have one. You have a locum clerk. She is not a proper officer. She does not qualify as a proper officer. You only have a restricted number of people in your employ that would qualify as a proper officer. You could have got round it by resolving to appoint your locum clerk as a proper officer before you elected. You didn't do that. That undermines the legitimacy of the last 2 elections you've just held. And I think you should think again about whether you think that's the right way forward. Certainly the town folk that I have spoken to don't in any case.
Have you completed your session, Mr. Ellard?
Me not speaking normally means that.
Thank you. Locum Clerk, I would ask that you note Mr. Ellard's comments, as we've already responded to this comment previously by our previous Locum Clerk and also in a previous meeting. So we will revisit those correspondence and make you aware. I also would remind you that public participation, unless anyone comes forward at this time, is now closed. Thank you. Moving on to the agenda, apologies. So I have to receive apologies for absence and to approve the reasons given for apologies. So can I have anyone's apologies if relevant? And I actually don't think that is the case tonight. We have 2 members of the public, I believe 1 member of the public that has left the meeting. My apologies, it's where the screen moved around at 19:15. I'm not aware of any apologies because we have a full set. So moving on to point 4, declarations of interest. Members to declare any interest they may have in an agenda item that accord with the requirements of the Council Code of Conduct. So with the items on the agenda tonight, can I ask, do you wish to declare an interest? No. Councillor Greening, can I just check, are you speaking to item 16? Councillor Greening, you're muted, please.
I am, yes, but I have to curtail my meeting tonight at 7:30. I would just say that there isn't much to report at this moment. I'm just in the process of gathering and assimilating the information.
So in context of the agenda, are you asking us to move this item forward because you will not now be in the meeting?
Correct.
Okay, so Councillor Greening, are you declaring an interest in item 16?
Yes.
And can I then ask, when we get to that point, we will, unless there's any other items actually, in a moment, I think there's another item. I will link it with that and we will move it forward to a forward agenda. So thank you for that. So in terms of declarations of interest, Councillor Green has stated an interest in one of the agenda items. Are there any other declarations of interest before I move on? No, thank you. So item 5, minutes of the previous meeting. So this was to receive and confirm the accuracy and sign the minutes of full council meeting held on the 26th of April. Unfortunately, we're unable to do that. So this agenda item will be, I'm going to request we vote to move this to the next council meeting. And at the same time, can I ask that we move point 16, which is the A303 entrance gateway into Wincanton, to the next appropriate council meeting. So with that in mind, because we don't have the minutes tonight to receive and review, can I ask for someone to propose that that can be moved to the next appropriate full council meeting, please? Councillor Vagg, and a seconder, please. Councillor Thomas, and those councillors in support of it being point 5 and 16 being moved forward. So Councillor Power, Smith, Tudgay, Waters, Ralph, Thomas, Shelbourne-Barrow and Vagg. So thank you for that. Councillor Greening, you didn't vote. So are you choosing to vote against or you just abstain?
I'm just choosing to abstain.
Abstain, thank you. So moving on to point 6 on the agenda, which is committees, working groups and representatives to outside bodies. Council to review the delegation of arrangements of committees, working groups. I'm sorry, David Young, I apologise. Are you okay? And do you need to go and get some water or put yourself on mute? Thank you.
I beg your pardon, I thought I was on mute.
That's okay, don't worry, no problem. As long as you're okay. Committees, working groups and representatives of outside bodies, and it's to council to review the delegation of arrangements of committees, working groups and representatives to outside bodies. So number 6, so councillors would have received, and this is on our website, the list of committees, working groups, panels and representatives to outside bodies. I would like to discuss with council us moving this to the most appropriate next meeting. So to carry on as we are, so that we review it after the election. So members who become a member of council following the 6th of May by-election can then have an opportunity to take part in one of the committees, working groups, or becoming a representative of council to outside bodies. Are there any comments or questions in relation to that? No? So if you're in agreement, can we move, we'll carry on as we are, so it stays as it is till we get to the next, rather than go through each individual line now, to the next meeting that we hold as full council. So can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Tudgay, are you proposing? Councillor Greening, are you seconding? Thank you. And a vote for, please. Those for supporting all of the committees, working groups, panels, representatives or outside bodies to take place once the 6th of May is completed. So I have Councillor Power, Smith, Greening, Waters, Ralph, Thomas, Shelbourne-Barrow and Vag. Councillor Tudgay, are you voting? Councillor Tudgay switched off his camera. So I'm presuming, Councillor Tudgay, are you voting for?
Yes, sorry, Chair, I've had to investigate
That's okay.
an unholy noise from next door. I think they're coming
all...
through the wall with the drill.
Oh, right, okay. Is everything all right?
Yeah.
So again, can I just ask everyone to raise their hands for consistency? So for moving the items is Councillor Tudgay, Power, Smith, Greening, Waters, Ralph, Thomas, Shelbourne-Barrow and Vag. Thank you. I believe that to be unanimous, Locum Clerk?
Yes, yeah, all in favour.
So that will move to our next full council meeting after the 6th of May. Thank you, councillors. The next item on the agenda is committee terms of reference. So councillors would have received all of the terms of reference for various committees and working groups within council. I've actually gone through all of the terms of reference myself to look at any gaps. These are on our website. If councillors have any, have had chance to look, as you said you'd had. So the committees are open spaces, personnel, planning, stakeholder group, complaints committee, and WEEP, which is actually a working group, to be fair. So can I just check? The only one that I couldn't find was open spaces, Councillor Tudgay. Is there an open spaces terms of reference?
Yes, the terms of references were approved a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, Chair. I don't know why they're not there.
Okay.
But they were certainly looked at quite recently and approved.
Okay, so the revised ones have been approved recently. Personnel committees, terms of reference were the 9th of the 11th, 2020, so they're still in date. Planning committee is the 9th of the 11th, 2020, so therefore they're still, yes, Councillor Locum Clerk.
Just a comment on the personnel terms of reference. I don't know if you wanted to add in there, there's nothing, it does say to provide, to carry out, no, sorry, it's about recruitment. Basically, it covers the recruitment of staff in conjunction with the town clerk. It doesn't mention recruiting a town clerk.
Oh, are you going back to the comment of the public participation? Sorry.
No, I'm on the terms of reference for the personnel committee, and I've read this, and it says, under the remit, it says to undertake the recruitment of personnel in conjunction with the town clerk, which is perfectly fine, but there's no reference to recruiting the town clerk.
Okay. So
one line added in, I think.
Okay, so can I thank you for that, Locum Clerk. Can I ask the Chair of Personnel, Councillor Ralph, to review that and speak with the Locum Clerk to ensure the terms of reference enable us to appoint a clerk?
That's absolutely fine. If the Locum Clerk's recommendation is we should look at that, then that's great.
Thank you. So can we amend those? Do they need to come back through personnel, or can we bring them back to council?
Well, legally, the full council have to approve the terms of reference. So if the personnel committee if the personnel committee is happy for it to go straight to full council, then that's not a problem.
Okay, thank you. So we'll bring them back to the next meeting. Yes, Councillor Ralph. You're on mute, by the way. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I was just checking because I wasn't aware of the yeah, so the complaints committee terms of reference had been removed because that has a specific lifetime.
Yes.
Very specific, and I don't think we should be voting to keep those terms of reference because they've expired.
Yeah. One moment. They're not on our website, those particular terms of reference. Under committees, it just says personnel committee. It doesn't define the policies.
They are on the website because I'm reading them off the website.
Oh, the complaints committee. Yes,
I checked because it rang a bell with me.
Okay, so can we just check then? Open spaces, there is a set of terms of reference that's been to council, just needs to be updated. Personnel, we're reviewing to ensure it includes recruiting a clerk. And the complaints committee, we're saying we no longer require.
Well, it was specifically a complaints panel, not a committee, and it's no required. The terms of reference were very specific for that panel.
So can I just check before we ask the locum clerk how we go about removing, just in case there are any others we wish to remove? The planning committee terms of reference were agreed on the 9th of the 11th, 2020. They are still current? Are they the final ones we reviewed? Do you know, Councillor Thomas?
The planning terms of reference?
Yeah, so the 9th to the 11th, is that the most recent?
That's the most recent. I drafted them and then Zoe looked at them and improved them. And I think they were signed off.
Okay, they did come to council. So I think what we need to do, I'm just coming to you, Councillor Tudgay. We probably need to do a bit of checking on the versions that are on the system, the versions that were signed off at council to ensure they are the same. The versions on the website are the ones approved at council. Councillor Tudgay?
The version of the planning terms of reference that I've read are up to date because they include the extra councillors that we asked for.
Yeah, but I think that's before the 11th, after the 11th last year. I think that's in 2021.
Well, the set that we were sent for this meeting do include the extra councillors, the extra numbers.
Okay, so we just need to make sure our website is up to date and current. So thank you for that. The stakeholder group is a joint stakeholder group with South Somerset District Council. Those terms of reference were agreed on the 12th of the 10th, 2020, so they're still current. Can I ask, locum clerk, we have the complaints committee that isn't a complaints committee on our website as a terms of reference for a committee. Can we just vote to remove?
Basically, you vote to dissolve that particular group.
Okay, so there are no others we're looking to dissolve, as I understand it. Is that correct, councillors? So can I vote a proposer and a seconder to dissolve the complaints committee stroke panel? So the sorry, Councillor Tudgay, Councillor Greening, do you wish to speak?
Is there a particular reason why we need to dissolve a committee? I mean, should a complaint arise, wouldn't we just then have to reinstate the committee at a later date?
I'll invite Councillor Ralph, Chair of Personnel, to speak.
This panel was convened to deal with a specific issue.
Okay.
Be able to deal with those complaints anyway.
Right.
Thank you. So
it's Lizzie, am I right in thinking it's just superfluous to requirements? Right.
Yeah.
And if we required one, we would reinstate it with a new terms of reference and new identified councillors to be a member of that committee. So in terms of the committee, the complaints committee, which wasn't a committee, it was a panel, can I ask for a proposer to dissolve that committee, please? Councillor Ralph, a seconder, please. Councillor Waters, and a vote from council for dissolving the complaints committee stroke panel. So I have Councillor Greening for Councillor Power, Smith, Power, Walters, Ralph, Thomas, Shelbourne Barrett and Vag. So I believe that to be a full set to dissolve that particular committee panel and ensure that it's removed from our website, please. Thank you. Are there any other committees that we wished now to include in the terms, committees we wish to revisit or include moving forward? Yes, Councillor Thomas.
Slightly not quite an answer to your question, but I'm just looking at the car parking committee, and it isn't dated in terms of when it was drawn up or approved. But yes. I looked at the personnel committee, and it does actually say when it was approved and when it should be reviewed.
Thank you.
I think it's that. I'm just wondering whether they should all be dated when they're adopted and when they should be reviewed at next time, because otherwise that's surely the best way of working out whether something is the definitive terms of reference or whether it's the one before.
Can I answer that?
Yes.
Basically, they should all be approved by the full council, so they should all have today's date on going forward.
Right. Okay.
You might get. Sorry.
I'm just going to say they might go to a committee for recommendations, but the actual approval comes from your full council. So they should have this date on, and then it is ideal actually to review them every May at your annual meeting.
I understand where Councillor Thomas is coming from. So you are, I don't think Council would disagree with you, Locum Clark, but what I would ask is that all of the documents that are on our website and all of those that are in the folder which are not on our website need to be a reconciliation undertaken against our full council minutes, because there appears to be copies of documents that policies that we and terms of reference we know have gone through council but are not don't have the correct date against them. So we just need to do that. So that's an action, I believe, from this meeting. Any other comments around terms of reference? No. Just to make sure I've got the right. So this is just terms of reference. Working groups. We have a number of working groups. The tour actually for the parking committee, sorry, was the 9th of the 9th, 2019. So if it's not on the website as that's what's in a folder that where other dates are held. So we, again, the reconciliation would be a useful thing to do. We also have a working group, which is a community outreach project working group. That terms of reference has been approved, but I can find no date of that. So again, we need to confirm what the date that went through council, and that was before we set the budget for this financial year. And we also have another member of the public has left the meeting at 19:33. We also have a finance and general purposes terms of reference, which was signed on the 12th of the 10th, 2020. So that's still in date. The stakeholder group, as I've mentioned, is the 12th, the 10th, 2020. We have a complaints committee, which we've just dissolved. And where's the other ones? Sorry, we have other working groups, I think, that I'm needing to find now. And a governance working group that also the terms of reference were approved in 2020 that I can't find on the internal documentation. Yes, Councillor Tudgay.
Surely, Chair, as Clark has said, if we review all these documents tonight and we're effectively reviewing them all, their previous dates don't really matter. They should all be dated today and then reviewed in a 12 months time. So when they were originally set up, it is not of that great importance, I don't believe. So long as we review them, and fellow councillors will have read them and reviewed them, or the ones we can find, Any that we can't find should be brought to the next meeting and dated and go forward from there.
Okay, well, what I would say is at the minute, I would like us to do a piece of reconciliation to understand the documents we've been shared are the final terms of reference, whether they be for a committee or working group. Otherwise, we'll be formally accepting something in this meeting that we don't know is the final document. And that's why I've started to identify dates and ones that don't have dates, because I'm not clear that we have got the final set. So I 100% agree with you, Councillor Tudgay. Yes, Councillor, do you want to speak again? Sorry.
Yes, please, Chair. So perhaps we should simply move this whole item forward to the next full council meeting.
Yes, thank you for that. So the proposal is we'd move all of the committee terms of reference, which include working groups, for review to the next appropriate full council meeting once the reconciliation against terms of reference against our full council meeting. So we ensure that we have the most current version to sign off. So thank you for that.
Sorry.
Can I have a proposal? Sorry, Jo.
Sorry, I don't want to be a pain, but
you're not a pain.
That's quite a job, and because of the lack of staff, I just really don't see that anybody's going to have the time to do that. If everybody's seen them and they've been presented to council and nobody's got any comments to make, although a few comments have been made, they should really be approved tonight with what they've got in front of them. So either they're not approved or they're approved in front of you. And like we've said, with the May date on, and then if anything comes to light in the year, they can always go back to council to be updated, etc. I'm just concerned that if you want it done on the next meeting, that it just won't happen with just the lack of staff. Okay. So what I'm hearing is, if I may summarise it, is we approve the terms of reference we've, as council have shared. We take those minutes to the next appropriate working group or committee to check that they are the final version. And if we're concerned they're not the final version, to actually do our own due diligence to check as chairs of those committees and working groups, they are the final version that went to council, and bring the final version back to be noted if it's correct to do so, or any amendments council or the committees or working group wish to make to those terms of reference. Is that what we're agreeing? Thank you. So with that in mind, can I ask for a proposer where council go back to each working group and council to review the terms of reference and to themselves check against full council minutes to ensure they're the final version, and ensure that the date stamp is included and bring it back to council for noting. 4 is Councillor Ralph. A proposer is Councillor Ralph. Seconder is Councillor Thomas, and 4. So those supporting that approach, I have Councillor Tudgay, Power, Smith, Greening, Waters, Ralph, Thomas, Shelbourne-Barrett and Vag. So I believe that to be unanimous. Yeah. Thank you for the logic, Locum Clark. The next item on the agenda is an asset register. So it's an inventory of land and assets to be reviewed, and this includes buildings and office equipment. So councillors, you would have received the register for February 2021. A member of the public has left the meeting at 19:39. Councillors, you would have received the asset register. Can I ask, are there any questions or any amendments you wish to make in relation to the asset and register of 2021? Councillor Tudgay.
I'm not sure that the new equipment for the works team has been added at this point in time. I'm not sure if the last item that was outstanding has been received yet.
Thank you. Any other comments from councillors? The 2 comments I have are, I believe there may be a laptop missing from the equipment for the office, and also the community fridge. There are 2 fridges. There's a community fridge and there's a second fridge freezer. that we purchased and is now installed in Coles Yard. So can I ask that that is included in our asset register? Are there any other items councillors have identified? No? So we're only reviewing. Do we need to propose and second those, Locum Clark, please?
No, it's just a working document, so it'd be fine.
Thank you.
Information, really.
Okay, so those are the amendments that we're wishing to make. If there are no other... Yeah, sorry, Councillor Ralph.
Just a question. This may just be ignorance on my part, but should the town hall itself, the building itself, not appear on the asset register, or is that dealt with somewhere else?
That's actually a very good point.
It should be on there.
It's on the buildings list.
Is that? Oh, yes, it is. Town hall. It is on there. It's number 3 under buildings.
Yeah.
You don't own it?
No, we don't own it. That's correct.
Oh, it has got it on there, though, hasn't it, in trust?
Yeah, but it should still appear on the asset register. That's what I was checking.
Yes, it's on there. Thank you for that. And thank you for your comments, Councillor Winder.
Can I go on from there?
What else would you like to add, Councillor Winder?
It is a charity that owns it, and therefore you should be paying rent or something. There should be a contract somewhere. I'm not sure that there is. I don't remember one. But technically, I think it's a very grey area.
Thank you.
Leave it at that.
Thank you for that, Councillor Winder. Locum Clark, can I ask that you review the comment that was made by Councillor Winder to see if we need to investigate that any further, please?
Can I just ask, is there a charity? Is there actually a charity then where trustees attend meetings and there's minutes, etc.?
No.
No. Okay. Not even once a year?
Yes, there's a charity.
So do you have a meeting?
And there are members of the council who are members of who sit on the charity.
Do you have a separate meeting at least annually?
No.
Okay, so what you're supposed to do if you are a charity, if it's a proper charity, is councillors can be trustees. You should be meeting annually, approving accounts, and then sending off to the charity committee.
We're not a charity. I think what Councillor Winder is implying is the property belongs to a charity and we lease it.
So the charity is not connected to the town council?
No.
Ah, right, okay, that's fine.
It's a grey area, as I said.
But noted, we're noting it, Councillor Winder, for a review internally. If there are no other comments around point 8, inventory and land and assets. Moving on to insurance, which is 9. So confirmation of arrangements for insurance cover in respect of all insurable risk. So council would have received, and we signed off in Q3 last year, so because the insurance was valid from the 1st of November 2020 to the 31st of October 2021. The insurance for the town council, insured is the town council, Wincanton Town Council, and its business, so that is in place. And as I'm only aware, we just to note, confirm that we have insurance.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to number 10, which is subscriptions to outside bodies, review of councils and staff subscriptions. So I'm not aware of any staff subscriptions. However, I am aware of council being members of various organisations, and I'm first going to read those, and if there are any others that we need to look at, please say, because these would have been noted in our accounts. South Somerset Association of Local Councils, which we have membership of, and that continues and it's in our accounts for this financial year. South West Councils, which is a professional HR organisation, and they offer other services in support of local parish and town councils, which we purchase membership through. And we're also aware of the Council for Protection of Rural England, which we've been a member of for some time alongside the other two, and where we get support in relation to planning applications sometimes, but wider issues. And more recently, although we aren't formally a member yet, but to be noted because it was recorded in the council minutes, we are a member of the Rural Community membership, where we've been given free membership until September, when we then choose if we wish to continue. I've only noted it because we will need to make that decision within this financial year. And finally, we've paid to be associated or a member of the Freedom of Information. I don't know what their formal title is, but we've paid £30 to be a member of that organisation, where we gain support and advice around FOIs, Freedom of Information requests. Sorry, Locum.
The Information Commissioner.
Thank you very much for the correct terminology. So, having reviewed our membership, is there anyone else you believe that I've missed off that was included in our accounts as well? No? So we're noting those are the subscriptions, they're the subscriptions to outside bodies. Thank you for that. If there's no further questions, moving on to number 11, which is policies, procedures and practices. So it's the review of council policies, procedures and practices in respect of obligations under the Freedom of Information Act and data protection legislation, Standing Orders 11, 20 and 21. That, I understand, was signed off of the 9th, the 12th, 2020. Does anyone have any further comments in relation to that? No? B, review council's complaint procedure. Councillor Ralph, do you wish to add anything in relation to the council's complaints procedure?
No, it was reviewed fairly recently, last year, and I'm not aware of anything we need to add or review in relation to that.
Thank you. Any comments? Finally, 11C, review the council's policy for dealing with press, media and social media policy. And this was approved on the 9th of the 3rd, 2020. Are there any comments or views in relation to that policy? No? So can I ask Locum Clerk, if we're just reviewing, do you need us to now vote, propose, second and vote in support of those documents? Or are we just noting?
Sorry, I'll say you just approve them now, so on the documents we can put they were approved at this council.
Thank you, so we don't need to vote?
We'll just put it was received and noted, no changes, basically.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Point 12, employment policies and procedures, to review the council's employment policies and procedures. Councillor Ralph, are there any changes you wish to highlight? If not, they follow the same process?
No, again, these are reviewed in the last year in line with advice from South West Councils and various experts and the Personnel Committee. So no changes that I'm aware that need to be made.
Thank you. So we're acknowledging those are the final documents and there's no changes to be made. Are you happy with that, Locum Clerk?
Yeah, you can just note it again.
Thank you. Number 13 is section 137 expenditure. So this is to review the council's expenditure incurred under section 137, Local Government Act 1972. So as a council, I'm not aware that we've allocated any spend during the previous financial year in relation to section 137. Are there any comments or questions in relation to that? No, so there are no, as I said, I'm not aware, and we haven't identified in our budget any monies allocated to section 137, so that's noted. Is that okay, Locum Clerk? Thank you. Item 14, meeting dates. To note the dates that meeting dates up to and including the annual meeting of council. So councillors would have received the dates for the year. Obviously, some of this has been through COVID and we've been operating in Zoom. But are there any comments or questions in relation to the dates of the meetings? Councillor Ralph.
Chair, although I'm loath to create extra work, because I respect all the time that staff and councillors have, I would like to propose an additional full council meeting in May this month. I'm going to propose the 24th of May, which is broadly in line with, you know, when we might have had a council meeting if we weren't at this meeting now. And that's because, as we're aware, there's a by-election on Thursday. We're going to be joined by 6 new councillors, which is going to be fantastic to be back up to full strength, having gone so long, just 9 of us. And I think I hope they'll be really keen and want to be getting involved in lots of things we've discussed tonight and why we've held various things over until they're with us. So I think it'd be more appropriate to, if we can meet in person, of course, which I realise is an agenda item later on, to meet them and become one team later this month rather than waiting till June.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas, you wish to speak?
Power,
sorry. Power. I'm so sorry. I beg your pardon.
I'd like to second what Lizzie's just said. I think that's a really good idea to get everyone on board.
Thank you. Can I just ask, are there any other comments in relation to the meeting dates for the year before we then propose and second? Councillor Tudgay.
I believe I would like to see the open spaces meeting that we have planned for May moved forward to June, Chair. Again, to give us time to see what these COVID regulations and face-to-face meetings involve and go from there. So if we could postpone that by a month would be helpful.
Thank you. And Councillor Power?
Ray, do you think that'd be at the beginning or the end of the month? Or do you think midway?
Usually midway, Tom, but we can
okay.
Talk about that date to suit members of the committee.
Okay, excellent.
We are also reinstating the car parking committee. So we also need to look at that to recommence in June as well. And in addition, we have the Finance and General Purposes meeting is moving into June anyway, and will take place, the first meeting is the 1st of June. And the Planning Committee is currently on the 10th of May. As you know, councillors, the new regulations require us to return to council chamber from the 7th of May. So the Planning Committee, if there are planning applications to be discussed, will be held in the chamber. However, we need to undertake a risk assessment of the chamber and the numbers that we can allow into the chamber. So we will be releasing additional information to members of the public and councillors to ensure that we comply with the current restrictions around COVID and social distancing. So more to follow. So to reiterate, planning will remain on the 10th and will only take place if we require it to take place, and will take place in council chamber, having completed a risk assessment and papers shared with individuals to ensure we don't have more than we can have in that space. The Finance Committee, Finance and General Purposes, is moving forward to moving back to the 1st of June, and so is Open Spaces moving to June. And in addition, we are requesting an additional council meeting on the 24th of May. And I would like to focus that meeting in on council business or council matters only, not wider agenda items. So we can undertake the work of welcoming new councillors into council and focusing in on any other elements that we need to do to enable our council to run efficiently and effectively from that point with new councillors on board. Any other questions? If not, I will ask for a proposal for each one of those elements to move forward. No, can I have a proposal to move those meetings to the dates that I've stated? Please, Councillor Ralph, and a seconder, please, Councillor Smith. And can I then ask for those in support or for moving those meetings to June and the additional one in May? So we have Tudgate, Power, Smith, Waters, Ralph, Thomas, Shelbourne Barrett, Vag. Locum Clark, you threw me a bit then because you raised your pen and I thought you were out trying to draw my attention. It's going to be a strange old world going back into a chamber. So thank you for that, and we will ensure those meetings are moved to the appropriate point, and the 24th is put in only for council matters. And again, me recognising it will need to comply with COVID restrictions around social distancing and meeting in public places. Thank you. Moving on to number 15. Yes, Councillor Ralph. Vag. I'm looking at one and saying another. My apologies. Councillor Vag.
Can I just ask, I know there were challenges to us going back, not us specifically, but in general to town councils going back to live meetings by the 7th of May. Have any of those been heard?
Yes. Do you wish to speak, Locum Clark, or shall I?
Yeah, I don't mind. So basically, they said, from the 7th of May, all meetings must go back to face-to-face. So what quite a lot of councils have done, they were sort of ahead of the game, and they've done a lot of virtual meetings up until the 6th. And then they're going to give their clerk delegated powers and not actually meet until the 21st of June. Now, that's not all councils, and Wincanton can't do that. So you basically do need to go back to virtual meetings. Just be very, very careful and perhaps keep them to a minimum. And that's just why I said the 21st of June was to keep in line with the COVID restrictions, because I understand that they're going to be pretty much lifted by then. So yes, go back to face-to-face, but I think the consideration are members of the public. So it's, if you are aware that lots of members of the public are going to arrive, then that might be of a concern. If it's a small committee meeting, then that's probably not going to be a problem.
Thank you. So in terms of returning to face-to-face, which is point 16, to consider to return to in-person meetings within the council chamber and actions required, the action that's required for us to return to council meetings is that we undertake a risk assessment. That risk assessment will then define how many individuals can be in the chamber and the social distancing rules in relation to that, which will then drive us to require us to actually understand who will be attending. So once we've hit the maximum in terms of who can attend safely within the restrictions, no individual can attend. So we'll have 15 plus a clerk, and then we'll have whatever space we have on top of that for members of the public until we move past the 21st of June. And then we're back to, I hasten to say it, normal running, where as many members of the public are welcome to attend as wish to. Yes, Councillor Ralph.
Sorry to be a stickler, Chair, but it's possibly on the 21st of June. Yes,
that's true. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you. So within the current roadmap, unless anything changes, we will be working to that and then taking advice from NAUC, who take their advice from government on what we can or can't do. And in addition, we have further restrictions. We have opportunities as a town council because we can return to the chamber, whereas other organisations can't. They've allowed us to do that. I'm also aware that working groups, as long as there's no members of the public going to be present, can actually remain on Zoom. Yeah. So we will define this more in a document to be shared out from council in due course. So the action I think we're looking at is a risk assessment, a paper on what we can do and when those meetings can take place and the numbers that can take place within them. And in addition, those meetings that can continue via Zoom for the foreseeable future, unless anything changes again. which, as we know, over the last year has been a complete moving feast. Councillor Thomas.
Is there any possibility that we could continue doing online and face-to-face simultaneously?
I don't know. Locum Clerk, I'm not aware of any legislation yet that's allowed us to do that.
No to that. They call them hybrid meetings, don't they? And they've actually said no.
Is that's a final, is it?
Final, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
If not, do you wish us to vote on? Sorry, Councillor Tugay.
You spoke of a risk assessment needs to be carried out, Chair. Has this been done, or when is it going to be done?
I'll invite the Locum Clerk to speak.
Thank you.
Yeah, I plan to do it. When, I'm not quite sure, but obviously it'll have to be before the planning meeting on the 10th.
Okay. So,
Actually,
sorry.
I've just realised it's next week, isn't it, the 10th?
Yes, I know. Yeah. So I think what we'll be waiting for is the Locum Clerk to have completed the risk assessment and share with council and then external to council what we're going to do for what meeting and the numbers that are allowed to attend, and we'll just confirm our attendance to ensure if we have capacity to allow other members of the public in if we haven't got a full set of councillors. Councillor Tugay, do you wish to speak again? No? Sorry. Okay, any other comments? If not, that's the proposal. Do we need to vote on that proposal of a risk assessment? No, that's fine. Thank you.
It has to happen, yeah.
Thank you, thank you. And we look forward to an update, Locum Clerk. Number 16, as you're aware, has been moved to the next available council meeting. Number 17 is Wincanton's Environmental and Ecological Charter. And this is to approve the new charter for the new 21-22. So, councillors, you would have received this. Do you have any comments you wish to make? If not, we will move to support it. Any comments in relation to the charter? Councillor Ralph.
Yeah, I support the charter, and as we're at that section of the agenda, I'd just like to say that I attend meetings, and I, as a councillor, personally find the residents that engage with the charter and that group very inspiring. They work very hard for our town. They really care about it, and yeah, I'd just like to take this opportunity to commend them. Really.
Thank you. That's really lovely to hear. So, very well said. Thank you for that. Any other comments in relation to the charter? This will be the second year that we've had a charter around the environment and ecology within the town and the good work of the town moving towards helping climate change, but also the natural environment as well as human beings, of course. So if there's no further comments, can I have a proposer, please, for the charter? Councillor Tugay, a seconder, please. Councillor Power, and those for the charter, please. So I have Councillor Tugay, Power, Smith, Waters, Ralph, Thomas, Shelbourne-Barry and Vag. Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you, Locum Clerk. And we normally, as with all the policies, we once it's signed, it can go onto our website because it's a commitment we're making as a town. And it's taken through our WEEP group, but also through the stakeholder group and other work that we do within council. We're moving fast through the agenda tonight, councillors. This is positive news. The next item on the agenda is 18, which is Play Day. So to consider a request to hold a proposed Play Day at Kale Park in August 2021. And this is South Somerset District Council. They've held play days in our Kale Park previously, and they wish to use the park to hold another play day in August, and they wish our support in doing so. Are there any questions in relation to this? Councillor Vag.
Have we got the money to sponsor one of the items?
Great question, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not so sure about throwing the axe, I have to tell you, but the others look pretty good. Any other comments from council around that? Councillor Vag?
Definitely want to see the birds of prey, because that's my favourite and a lot of people's favourite. So I would vote for supporting that one.
Thank you. Councillor Thomas, did you wish to speak? No? So in terms, Councillor Tudgay.
Chair, alongside of this, we were looking at running Escape Jam in conjunction with Maverick. Have we heard back from Maverick on the availability of that date?
No, not yet, but I believe they were positive about it, and they've asked to come and speak at the community youth group, outreach group as well, regarding that. And if we're going to broaden the conversation out, the Play Day offers us an opportunity not only to do the skate jam, which is an event that would have been held when the skate park was open, but because of COVID, we were into social distancing, so couldn't do that. Obviously, August, subject to restrictions being removed, is a great time for that to take place. In addition, we'll be looking at that time to hold engagement events in the park with councillors, going down to talk to residents about what their thoughts are and what we're doing as a council, what they'd like to see in the town, and any other issues they may wish to bring forward to council on a one-to-one basis. So we'll be looking at that and actively working with other groups in the town to make it, rather than just a play, I think it's a play morning, actually looking at a day of really lovely events for families to come down and individuals to come down and enjoy the park and enjoy those activities. And it will be really great, and yet to be decided, if we can hold the picnic in the park on that day, where we talked about previously, recognising the year that we've been through as a country, as a community, and individuals and families, and coming together to celebrate our resilience, celebrate the enormous work, positive things that lots of people have done in this town during COVID, supporting food parcels, supporting talking to people, to keep around the mental health aspect, to supporting activities like sharing books and jigsaws. Huge amount of things that have gone on during COVID that we want to now recognise, and this day offers an opportunity for us to do that. So, but in the first instance, this is about the Play Day in Kehl Park. So as a council, I'm getting a sense that we're supporting. I hear from Councillor Vag she'd like to see the Birds of Prey, for council to fund the Birds of Prey, because we do actually have a community fund that we can use for that activity. Are there any other activities council would wish to support? No, from the list that was shared? I think that obviously the Birds of Prey is a lovely idea. If there are any others that councillors wish to put forward, we can look at that because we have some time. However, what I'm hearing is we'd support the Birds of Prey unless someone tells me differently, and the district council's play day in Kehl Park. Okay, so do we need to vote on that, because we're also spending council money, please, from the community events budget? So can I have a proposer for that, please? Councillor Tudgay, a seconder, Councillor Power, and those four supporting the event to happen, the skate jam, and also other activities, including, if they're available, the Birds of Prey. So Councillor Tudgay, Power, Smith, Waters, Ralph, Thomas, Shelbourne-Barrow, Vag. So I believe that to be unanimous. Thank you. And final item on the agenda is items for consideration at the next meeting. So the next meeting, we've decided tonight, subject to any other changes due to restrictions, is the 24th of May, but that will be focused on council business and council matters, because we'll be welcoming in new councillors and also any other issues that are related to supporting them becoming part of council. The next meeting after that is in June, So dependent on the urgency of the issue that you wish to maybe identify, it'll either go on the 24th of May or the meeting that takes place on the 28th of June. So are there any items you wish to bring forward at this time? Councillor Tudgay.
I was just going to suggest, Chair, that we keep the agenda as tight as possible, as small as possible for the 24th of June. We're going to have to cope
24th
with...
of May, sorry, Councillor.
Sorry, the 24th of May. Apologies. We're going to have to cope with, you know, a whole new ball game in regards to COVID regulations and things. So in reality, the smaller the agenda, the better, I think.
Thank you. Agreed. Councillor Thomas.
This is nothing to do with the agenda really, but I just want to remind people that tomorrow, tomorrow is the deadline for commenting on the town regeneration plans.
Thank you.
So if you want to get any comments in, anybody, then tomorrow is the deadline.
Thank you. Councillor Tudgay.
And another public service announcement, Chair, is the planned walk around by the Open Spaces Committee for tomorrow has been cancelled. Some of us are involved in something else tomorrow evening, and because of COVID regulations, I don't think it would be appropriate for groups of councillors to be seen wandering around the town. So we'll, once we've got the new councillors in place, we can revisit the date and go from there. Thank you.
I actually think it's for the June meeting, I would like to invite Somerset District Council to come and present where we are with the regeneration plan and the consultation, because by then it may not be a lot of time, but they may have an idea on the concepts that have been supported. And also I think it will be an opportune time for councillors to pose any additional questions moving forward in support of the regeneration of our town. Whether it's June or July potentially, but it would be great if they could come forward for that. If there's no other further agenda items, Councillor Colbert.
Thank you. I just wanted to reinforce what Ian Thomas said. I was rather concerned after the input I put in from residents to see the number of car parking spaces that they're proposing to remove. And I think if we want to regenerate the town centre, you've got to be a little bit careful about losing too many free in-town car park spaces, because if people can't park, they just tend to drive on to somewhere else. So yes, I mean, it's a matter of getting everybody that we know really to respond to that in the way that they think. But I'm a little concerned about the removal of too many parking spaces.
Thank you. Councillor Power.
Is it possible we could make a comment to SSDC from the parking committee wise? Is there anything we could make a comment through that?
The parking committee hasn't been set up yet, Councillor Power.
I know, but I'm just, it won't be in time for tomorrow, will it?
No, I'm afraid
I just
not.
think that'd be quite a good way of making a comment, so they might listen, other than listen to residents, of course.
Well, every resident has a voice through the consultation. And I think it's really important that residents do so and understand the choices they're making, whether it's one of the concepts or adding in additional information. I think it's really important people have a voice. So as an individual, it's more appropriate for them to do so at this time, I would say, just because we can't do anything overnight, I'm afraid, Councillor Power.
Okay.
Any other comments, Councillor Vag?
I would urge people, there's been a lot of people on social media. I know Councillor Colbert has been pushing this point, but there's been a lot of talk about the regeneration on social media. And I just hope those people are actually bothering to go and do the survey and answer the questions. I've done that, and again, I've backed them not decimating the number of parking spaces. But yeah, people, anybody listening, make sure you actually fill in a survey, not just chat about it on Facebook.
Thank you. That's a very good point. Any other comments, agenda items for the next meetings? I would like agenda item to be the community outreach, because from May, June time, we will be starting through Young Somerset a 3-month engagement with young people. And as part of that, they will be looking at options such as a youth council to be part of our town council, and other areas of interest to help support our young people within the town. Working with the police and Young Somerset, which is a Somerset organisation that supports young people as a whole, and the Youth Parliament. So great opportunity, and I'd like the opportunity for them to present themselves in this meeting. Is there anything else anyone would like to add? If not, thank you very much for your time tonight and your commitment to the town. Much appreciated, and our town appreciate it. And thank you also for supporting myself and Councillor Tudgay to continue for consistency purposes. And I look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. Have a great evening. It's now 20:15, and I look forward to seeing you at a later date. Many thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.